want to get to a place where I become numb to it, because when I become numb to it, then that means I ignore it, and then I won't try to do anything about it. So I always have to keep reminding myself about the diet disease connection. And I do even remember what it was like for me at the time, when I was 100 pounds overweight. I was in that mindset of where I see a lot of people. And so I have this unique sort of perspective on it, because I've been there, but now I'm also looking at it from the other side of being a clinician, and knowing how important it is to help educate people on this. So we see this image here, of this person who, this is their diet. We call this the standard American diet. It's rife with refined and processed foods that are made from basically, some of the, we start with something natural. For example, you might start with something like a whole grain, for example, wheat. But then the wheat is milled and then it's refined, meaning that we remove the fiber from it, and a lot of the vitamins and minerals are being removed as well. And then we use that flour to make a bunch of other things. We make bread out of it, make pastas out of it. And so then it has become a one of the most common ingredients in the entire food supply for the standard American diet. And by the way, I don't know if you realized it, but the acronym for standard American diet is SAD, which says sad, and it's a very appropriate acronym because that is what the standard American diet is. It's a sad diet. It doesn't give us what we need. It's very low in fiber, it's high in sugar, it's high in salt, it's high in fat, and it doesn't have enough fruits and vegetables in it to even counteract that. A lot of times I say, it's probably not that big of a deal if somebody eats a cookie every now and then, or does have a burger and fries every now and then. It's not that big of a deal when the majority of the time they're eating plenty of healthy, natural foods that gives their body what it needs. It's when the diet becomes, the principal diet is the processed food. And unfortunately, that is where a lot of people are today. Heart disease is the single leading cause of death in America. We know that obesity is a worldwide epidemic. It's not just here in the US. We have traversed the oceans with our fast food franchises, and now they're everywhere, all over the world. I remember 11 years ago, or actually maybe it's been longer ago than that I went to Ireland, and I was stunned to see how many fast food places were there at that time. It was in the early 2000s. And it was, I just thought, wow, okay, it is everywhere. And that was the very beginnings of my schooling in nutrition. And I thought, wow, yes, it is everywhere. It's gone global. In fact, at that time, the World Health Organization coined a new verbiage for the global epidemic of obesity. They call it globesity. And it's a real term that they created to describe what is happening. So, I've been talking a lot about obesity, but now there's a new condition that we're starting to see, because we have people who are normal weight, but they're suffering from all the same types of diseases of obesity. And so, heart disease, insulin resistance. Not everyone who gets type 2 diabetes is overweight. It can still impact people even if they don't gain weight. We have to realize that, everyone has different genetics, and their body may handle, different, things differently. So some people may not gain a lot of weight, but they might be packing a lot of fat around their internal organs. They call that visceral fat. And that's even more harmful than having excess fat stored in the hips and thighs. So that's what we're starting to see, is this 40% of normal weight people suffer from these diseases as well. So it's impacting a lot of people. One of the things that I see is that, right now, currently, And I know we're turning a tide, but there really is a lot of people, all of you who are here today are interested in, at least in learning how to be healthier. But we're seeing that we're at sort of right now at a place in our human history that we eat the worst human diet ever in all of human evolution. So we're not eating in the way that our ancestors ate. And oftentimes I call them our not so distant ancestors, because it really wasn't that long ago. We say if you eat like depending on your age, your grandparents or your great grandparents, if they were to walk into a grocery store today, what types of things would they choose or not choose, because they just wouldn't be familiar with. There's a wonderful author, his name is Michael Pollan, and he wrote a book called Food Rules. And it was just he had written several books prior about the state of the American diet. But then he wrote a little book of just some little rules to live by. And one of the things he wrote in there was if your great grandparents wouldn't have eaten it, then you probably shouldn't be eating it either. Okay, so here we are back at my eye-opening box of cake mix.